beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine, it's a beautiful day. I am alright.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to the white light.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. I am your long forsaken guest. I have left you. I have abandoned you once again. I made it seem like it was only going to be to the store for smokes and back real quick, and I lied. Here it is, 13 years later, for the second week in a row. I think it was second week in a row because it was I forget when I even went on vacation. I know when and then I also only did like a 3-day, I think, the previous week. Either way, point being, I'm sorry. I did take a little bit of break. I had a lot of stuff going on. I had 2 mama kitties due at the same fucking time, so that was which usually it's almost like it's like women's cycles line up. The same thing weirdly seems to happen whenever we have. It's actually pretty common that they seem to go in pairs, that we will have the mothers get pregnant in pairs, and it's also like, for logistical reasons, actually helpful because, like, if one has trouble breastfeeding, you can swap one to the other. But anyways, point being is, they did not go at the same time like they tend to do. They tend to go close together. No, they spread it way out like a fucking weirdo. So then it was over the course of 2 days, and went to bed real late one day, and then a couple of the kittens need to be tube fed. So now I'm having to get up in the middle of the night and every few hours I got to feed these fuckers. But anyways, here I am. I managed to finally find a way to rearrange my schedule to get you guys up in here, to be able to spend some time with you guys, because there's been a considerable amount going on that I'd like to talk to you guys about. So, and I don't know, I get a lot of my words out with you guys. I don't know, I'm going to talk to my wife? What are you, out of your fucking mind? She doesn't want to hear about this shit. And I don't know. I don't really want to hear her opinions, as I bounce them off of her on these things either. So I'd rather just talk to you guys, get the feedback from you guys in the chat. So it's good to be back with you all. But I think we should be back in some sort of regular swing of things. I will say the school year has commenced, so that will probably change things a little bit. Might be a little bit more hit or miss. I might be picking up more shifts too, since I have less justification to stay home, because at least like during the summer period, it was also like I wouldn't pick up shifts too, because it was also like, oh, well, I'll just do a podcast, pick up a few bucks there, and I'll spend the rest of the day with the kids doing this and that. Well, now it's like, well, I'm just sitting at home with my thumb in my ass, so I may as well make a few bucks. So, I don't know. Once again, as always, you guys could chip in more, like, share, do all those things that help grow the show if you do want to make this a 5-day-a-week show. But just letting you guys know, with the school year starting back up, it's probably going to be more of like a 3-day-a-week thing. So, I mean, I'm not going back like full-time or anything, so I'm just going to probably pick up a little bit more shifts in there. You guys got spoiled during the summer. I was damn near doing basically 5 days a week. At one point, I was almost doing like 6 or 7, and then I had to I need to give myself some time. So... But either way, probably going to maybe like 3 to 5 here coming soon. So just a little bit of a warning, but here I am. This week had nothing to do with work, though. It was all kitties. Kitties fucked it all up. But glad to be back with you all now. Let's roll through our little normal little video we do at the beginning. The show, just kind of, let's see what's going on. Today for you guys, I have Representative Anna Paulina clip from her. They're pushing the alien stuff again, so let's see what they have to say. This is topical because she just, I guess, came off of a Rogan appearance. I have not surprisingly, I haven't seen a whole lot of clips doing the rounds, especially since she sort of branded herself as like the truth squad or whatever the fuck over there, over in Congress or whatever the hell it is she does. She sort of branded herself as like the True Squad and like particularly the Epstein and JFK and stuff. And so I kind of assumed I'd see a whole lot of clips flying about and stuff, but no. The only clip I've really seen is this about space stuff. So I don't know. I'll probably watch this on my own time later. If you guys in the chat have seen it, let me know. I'm kind of interested if you have any feedback, because I would assume this would have been their because there's been a lot of rumors behind the scenes about the Trump administration and how they're going to try to link up with Rogan. That's one of the things they're throwing around to kind of fix their PR nightmare they've been dealing with lately, particularly on the Epstein side of things. They're also dealing with obviously the Israel stuff as well. But there's rumors that they've been trying to get help with that, and it's been thrown out trying to get Rogan. So when I saw a representative in a Paulina, I kind of like, oh, is this what it is? And so far, I haven't seen. I'll report back to you guys to see if there's anything of interest. But I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it got briefly addressed the Epstein stuff, and they just moved on or what. But I don't know. You'll notice it's pretty easy. It's pretty distinct characteristic of the government to see that everyone always has an excuse how it's not their responsibility. Because if I forget what her actual specific her role even was, but she even had some sort of task force role or something. The whole point was she was supposed to be essentially kind of like us and all these Middle Eastern treaties. We're always supposed to be, especially with Israel, we're supposed to be the third party that ensures that it gets done. And then actually, ironically, it never does, because somebody just go, what do you expect us to do? I don't know what we fucking have you here for. I don't know. The same kind of applies with Representative Anna Paulina, where it's like she's branded herself as literally that. They're like, well, we're like, my understanding of when they rolled out this task force way back when, months ago, was that they were supposed to be like, at first I was like, did they confer these guys any sort of power whatsoever? No, they had no ability to release documents. Their big thing was that they're the representative Anna Paulinas of the world, whatever the hell it was. I forget. She was some part of some sort of task force. Is what at that point in time, what she was purporting their purpose was essentially to nag those that were supposed to be doing it, essentially to call for accountability. But then, I don't know, it's weird that I've not seen, I think just the fact that I have the silence, someone did Rogan and I'm not saying bing, 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 just all over social media. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll come back tomorrow and say I was wrong. There was some interesting stuff buried in there and they did grapple with this. But I have a feeling that perhaps it got sidestepped. And I do find it interesting. She did get a little bit pissy. Because there were people actually, I'm kind of framing this because I've already seen people ask her in replies like, hey, why am I not seeing anything about Epstein? Particularly, I think Ian Carroll, I think, was one who did it, and she got like kind of pissy about it, and kind of this like it's not my job type thing, like oh da da da. I forget where exactly thing, but what it was just a kind of passing of the buck, it's like kind of like I've done what I can do, and you're like, okay, well that's kind of the point, like essentially. If you've done what you can do, then you're just proving the point that all you ever were was window dressing to give the appearance of something being done. But anyways, I've prepped enough for this clip about aliens. But let's see with her time on Rogan what she was talking about. Which maybe once again, maybe I'm being unfair. I haven't watched it yet, so maybe there were all sorts of other truthinesses out there that I didn't fucking see. But I kind of doubt it. Let's go ahead and watch this.
What specifically are you saying? Like what happened?
To I guess break it down in simple terms is that I think that some of the tech that exists, that whatever these things have, these energy things have,
energy things? What do you mean?
Well, they call them interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have, and that's not something that I.
What the fuck did you just say? Okay, all right. Let's what.
Energy things? What do you mean?
You have these energy things. All right.
Well, they call them interdimensional beings.
Okay, they call them interdimensional things. We have these energies. I got to start this over. All right. I didn't think I'd be so enthralled. It's more just like a dumb broad trying to explain what's clearly was some spook gave her technical jargon at some point. So let's start this over.
What specifically are you saying? Like what happened?
To I guess break it down in simple terms is that I think that some of the
she doesn't even say that yet. I don't know, just something about the way her delivery is hilarious, and this something about this specific predicament and being in it, and this like essentially just let's be real, just some dumb whore. Like it's like, wow, I mean, well we have these like energy beings, and like they're interdimensional, and like they're in like our time. All right, let's keep going.
The tech that exists, that whatever these things have, these energy things have.
All right. By the way, that was mean. I don't know if she's a whore. Actually, I think she was a stripper. So maybe actually I take that back. I don't know why I all of a sudden felt like I was being mean. Maybe it's the man in me that I see pretty women. And I'm like, I can't be mean to her. And then it's the married part of me that goes, I don't fucking care. I don't need to please this woman. Fuck you.
Energy things? What do you mean?
Well, they call them interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have. And that's not...
So they operate through the time spaces that we currently... what the fuck that even means?
Not something that I came up with on my own. That's based on stuff that we've seen.
It didn't sound like something she came up with on her own.
That's based on information that we've been told. And then also, too, I think that there's this historical aspect of, this gets into the deeper theories and concepts of religion and I think the history that we currently know. And
do they do like was ancient aliens all just like prepping us for whatever the fucking next op was? It's funny. I remember like being stoned in high school, just watching fucking ancient aliens, like holy fucking shit! Like who would have thought? They're like, no, that's them prepping you for an op. And even with decades of all this work, we're still here laughing. You still even went so far as put pretty woman and give her big words, and we're still like, okay. Even after, and I love that shit. I loved Ancient Aliens, and even still, I'm still here going, now. After all of that time, all of that shit you put in, all of that time, effort. I mean, obviously, I'm being a little bit silly. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's a little bit ridiculous. The idea that was all it all, but let's say it was. It's like all of that, even for a whole generation, to be like, fuck you. But I still love Ancient Aliens. I still would like if it was. I was stuck somewhere that only had like basic cable and it only could flick through. And like, oh, Ancient Aliens. Oh shit. Okay, cool. Hell yeah. Like if I was at the hospital waiting room, Ancient Aliens on, I was like, hell yeah, let's go. It's fun, but at the same time, it's still, I don't believe it when it's these people.
And that kind of spins off into another topic of, you have the modern day Bible, you have this aspect of Bibles or books of the Bible that have been removed that explain and kind of touch on these topics. And I think that we're in a time and age where you have such a vast amount of information that we have access to via social media, via your cell phone.
All right, guys. I know I said I'm probably gonna watch this, but the more I've gone a minute in, and I've given way too much commentary. It's mostly just making fun of her, and I'm already realizing I don't think I could do how. I mean, his are usually at least 2 hours. I don't think I could do 2 hours of this. But let's keep going.
The internet. And so it's really changing the way that we understand, the origins of life and
like all this reminds me of is like when you're like in your young, your teens, early 20s, and you're trying to date women, and then you're just women that you just hate, and you're just trying to talk to them, and they're just the worst, and you're just like, your eyes are rolling in the back of your head. This is what this whole experience feels like to me.
The spiritual reality we know.
Not that I'm actually trying to, but you get the idea. The idea is just like, it's awful. Let's keep going.
When you say interdimensional beings, that they know that these are interdimensional beings, how do they know that?
Based on testimony would be based on witnesses that have come forward. But what I can tell you is
the witnesses just were told that they were interdimensional?
that they've seen things. And what I can tell you without getting into classified conversations is that there have been incidences that I believe where very credible people have reported that there have been movement outside of time and space.
She said fucking nothing, but let's keep going.
Very vague.
Yeah,
exactly like he just said.
So, look.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Look, have I seen a portal open? No. Have I seen a spaceship? Personally, no. Have I seen evidence of this? Yes. Have I seen photo documentation of aircraft? Yes.
Wait,
have I
personally
seen... no. Have I seen evidence of this? Yes.
So she's seen evidence. It's okay. All right. So she hasn't seen a spaceship. She hasn't seen, but I've seen evidence. Okay. Well, now that can mean a million things. So once again, we're back in vague.
Have I seen photo documentation of aircraft that I believe were not made by mankind? Yes.
Okay. That also means nothing. I know it sounds, but think about what that statement means. That means nothing. I saw Starlink like a year ago, and I was like, whoa, that's exactly what that was right there. Actually, never mind. That I believe, I guess there's a qualifier of that I believe. So there's anyways.
Is there historical significance to this? Yes. Is there multiple events that go back to, I would argue, maybe even before the time of Christ that have documented this in text? Yes. So do I believe that the government has access to certain technology? Yes, to an extent. And I believe that certain contractors potentially have back engineered this tech. I think that that's what can explain the advancements that we're seeing. But I also believe that this is a dangerous level of hidden information from the American people, because if you have an all
right, I'm done. I can't do anymore. It's awful. It's the worst. And I will say, like, if there was a genuine effort to release the Epstein files, and let's say this task force, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe my jaded, they put Pretty Lady on here to be like, make people think thing happen, and all her job is to nag. Well, I don't know if she actually weaponized what she has going on. I don't know. They may have been onto something. She is brutal to listen to, and I can tell you for sure, if I was any sort of bureaucratic environment with a person like that, and they were trying to get any minor concessions from me, I'm going to give them every minor concession they want, as long as it's not like some big grand takeaway, like from whatever I'm working towards. I'm going to give them whatever minor concession, because I just want to get the fuck away from that. I don't want to be stuck in the like, just get away from me. Yeah, sure, you can have this 302, have this other, I don't know, here's this one FOIA document. Just get away from me. Like, it would work. So to give a little bit of fairness, to give a little bit of, I don't know, a little fairness to the powers that be, if there was any interest in them, then maybe they were onto something. Otherwise, it feels like you're just bamboozling us. Let's get into the chat. Let's say our good mornings, and then let's roll. Then let's do our morning. God, what am I doing? I'm all jarred. I'm all sleep deprived. Then we'll do our foreign policy. That's what I was trying to say. I don't know why I couldn't think of words. Good morning, Andrew Jacobs. Yes, good morning to the rich man's benefits. I see what you did there. Good morning, Eddie Grimm. Good morning, Tommy. Good morning, Adrian Brody. Tom says, nice to have a dump after this constipation the last couple of days. Now, I know it's been stocked up. It's been rough. Good morning, Mulgera. Good morning, Knife Stacy. It's one fucking nice kitty right there. That's a Bubbles reference for people who get it. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Queen Calmed. Smells like up dog in here. What's up, dog? Good morning, Eddie Grimm. Good morning, Fire Pixie. Good morning, Hey Say What Now. Good morning, No Name Rico. No Name. I think it's cooler to call you No Name. Tom says 3 days a week is perfect. Yeah, probably. I don't know. I'm very much someone who likes to have a routine. I like to do the same thing every day. And if anything, it's kind of a bummer that school's starting. I was really enjoying the summer vibe, because literally every day was just go run, go work out, go do podcasts, maybe, go do something with kids. So a little bit bummer we're getting out of that. So I don't know. 3 days a week is probably better. I don't. Do we really need this? I don't know. I do like to stay embroiled in the daily cycle of what's going on. So I enjoy it. So I'd say for the listeners, though, I think you're probably correct. So far as the listeners go, probably 3 days a week is probably even better. I'll be honest. Even so far as my content, it probably is like, if you look, it's probably overburdened with morning dumps. Although I will say at some point, I think in the future, I'll probably at some point split it off to have its own separate YouTube channel, RSS feed, and stuff like that. Maybe once I get up to episode 1000. I'm at 599 today. So I think I'll have an episode drop for you guys tomorrow. Tomorrow's morning dump won't be episode 600, but that'll be 601. But there'll be one of the paywalled episodes that'll drop. That'll be episode 600 tomorrow. So hitting 600, but maybe around 1,000 I'll break them off. But point being, you are correct. It could either a separation of some sort or something, because it does take away, I think, in some ways. So maybe 3 days would be better. I don't know. We'll see. Good morning. Here's Mulgari. Says, anytime the state says anything about aliens or whatever, immediately makes me think they're lying. It's a distraction. Yep. If there are aliens, it seems pretty retarded that they would operate within our visual spectrum. That is fair. I mean, because as they keep pushing this interdimensional stuff and all this weird, highfalutin, sciencey words that were like, it sounds more believable. It sounds more science fiction-y, but at the same time, it is more believable in that sense. So yeah. Who else we got? Good morning, Dr. A. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Let me see what else. Good morning, Eris Legacy. Well, she said a lot. Okay. She said a lot. Mulgara, I don't know if you're responding to here. Sorry, my bad. Didn't mean to confuse you guys. Okay, she's talking about the light bulb phenomenon. Most people say them are now of the opinion they're a living thing of some type. Oh, okay, that's a good. Appreciate that context. That makes it a little bit less ridiculous, the conversation. But I mean, okay. All right. That is seem to be the realm that they always seem to be pushing that. But I guess it makes it a little less ridiculous if it was spurred on by talk of light bulb phenomenon. So that's interesting. Of course, she hasn't. She was hired because she is cute and repeats the lines correctly, says Doc Dory for 20. Good morning, Melko. Says Anna Lunatic. Her husband is Air Force Intel. That's how she is one of the mouthpieces for this garbage shit. Good morning, Nostradamus. He says, who is this broad banging that she gets the gig to front the alien invasion psyop? I want my tax money back. Well, some dude in the Air Force, I guess. That's all it takes. She sounds dumb as hell. Everybody's saying yes. For real, I can't do it. Good morning, Marty McFly. Good morning, everybody. Who else we got here? We got Screwed Up Nevsky. Says Daryl Anka channels Bashir the alien all the time. That is too deep of a reference for me. I don't get it. Good morning, Real John Doe. It's good to see you here. He says, I'm getting so cynical that I don't believe a word of anyone's mouth at this point. Fake and gay. Yes, but you should be doing. Verify all this shit. Never should just be, well, so-and-so said. Good morning, comment mama. Good morning, John Black. So I've always wanted to believe in something more than human. Now it's part of the mainstream. I know it's all lies. That's kind of where I am as well. Real D Ford says, "What's up, Bubbles? What's up, dude?" I would do more references, but I feel like it's too more. I do a pretty good Bubbles impersonation, but it's weird because it's such a niche reference that most people don't get it. What else we got? All right, let's get into some foreign policy. What do we got? I know I missed quite a bit being out for the week, but for the most part, sort of not. Kind of still, and once again, in a holding pattern. So IDF chief says he's approved plans for the conquest of Gaza, so further confirmation. So the IDF chief of staff, Lieutenant General Ayil Zamir, said on Wednesday the Israeli military has approved plans for the conquest of Gaza as Israel is planning a significant escalation of its genocidal war. For those who don't know, they're getting ready to basically, take over the whole friggin' place. So here's the quote. It says, this morning we approved plans for the conquest of Gaza, and now we are in Lebanon. At the same time, we are operating in Syria, Yemen, Judea, and Samaria. It's the West Bank. They use the biblical language. And monitoring events in Iran. We are in a multi-front war, he said during a visit to an Israeli occupation outpost in southern Lebanon, according to Times of Israel. Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I've been telling everybody this. Like, they're in a multi-front war. It is funny. This is it's only the people that are anti this or super pro this that you will bring this sort of shit up. Like, look how badass we are. Yep, they're doing a bunch of shit. But anyways, point being, the whole point of the story is that he's coming up with a plan for their further I think we covered this in the last morning dump too. I believe last time we talked was around the announcement Netanyahu gave, where he gave the confirmation. So now we're even going further beyond Netanyahu to where, like, yeah, the people who were carrying out these plans have made the plans, delivered the plans, and are saying, yes, we're fucking doing it. So that's where we're at now. They're not like literally doing it, but they are. Everything's there. So yeah, I mean, it's getting rough there. I mean, I just heard a report the other day of mass graves. I might have to follow up on this one and find more details on it that were found. And so maybe I can find more confirmation because it's a little vague right now. It might. So, but point being is that we're hearing stories of like crazy things like mass graves. And apparently, one of these mass graves I saw, there were reports that somebody even saw, I guess, beforehand. They had seen them pushing, putting like people in it, and like particularly in this specific example, children. I believe it was 2 small kids with their hands tied behind their back, pushed into some sort of ditch, and then it being a mass ditch, and just dumping dirt on them, just kind of just pushing people, just getting rid of them, and essentially their cries being muffled out by. So this is where we're at, and this is what they're talking about. And they're talking about the biggest thing here is they're getting ready to move on Gaza City, which has about 1 million Palestinians in there. So which I believe, if I recall correctly, it's like roughly half the population of Gaza. So with all this craziness we've seen, they haven't really had this sort of push, from my understanding, on Gaza City itself. They've definitely, I think, had some offensives, but not like this. They are literally explicitly saying that they're intending on destroying. They might even have the quote in here. Let me see. No, I'm not seeing the quote, but I think I read or elsewhere, saw some quote elsewhere where they literally admitted that the part of the game plan was like that to eliminate Hamas infrastructure above ground and underground. I think that was the language that was used. And so as we've seen some of these photos coming out of Gaza of this place just being entirely just leveled as if like a nuke or something hit it. And that's just methodical, like, I mean, I guess bombing and stuff too. But apparently, there's from a lot of reports I've read, there's talks of like they were even like essentially had contracts for essentially civilian type folks where they would get essentially commission for destroying. So they'd come in, bomb an area, clear to civilians, and then, I mean, then they would send in people like just to start bulldozing stuff. So they're just destroying everything. So, and then they're getting ready to do that to Gaza City as well. And it's eliminating Hamas infrastructure, which is the same exact argument you would hear during World War II. It's the infrastructure of the enemy or whatever. So that's where we're at now. As if I don't know, we couldn't get any more confirmation. We also have 123 Palestinians in Gaza dying over the past 24 hours. How many of those? Let me see how many were aid. 45 were in Gaza City, so I'm assuming that means, here we go. Yeah, the IDF has ramped up its attacks in Gaza City since the Israeli cabinet approved a plan to completely take over the city. So, okay, we're seeing, I guess, the prerequisite increase in deaths with this, the ramp up for this new offensive. We're already starting to see more deaths. So 45 people killed in Gaza City. I'm assuming we probably still have the aid killings going on as well. Yep, so we have 21 aid killings. So the aid killings came down a little bit, but now they found a whole new vector for murder in the meantime. So I don't know. We'll see. That's where things are at now. Now, I will say I guess maybe positive note, we'll see. Mixed feeling I feel about this. But one of the things behind reporting, I may have reported on this maybe last week. I don't know. But they're getting ready to have a meeting, I believe actually tomorrow, if I recall correctly. Tomorrow, Trump and Putin, Zelensky isn't going to be there, is at least the latest I believe. But yeah, but I guess we'll read in this piece a little bit that one of the big contentions here is that there's going to be land swapping. I believe there's even a quote from Trump within the past few days of that, do you expect a landing? And then from then, we've gotten some statements from Zelensky here and there, seeming sort of like not cool with it, somewhat seemingly willing to concede something. So I don't know. I'd say it's a mixed bag. It seems like possibly. I mean, I've seen from the little bit I've seen while I've been dealing with my kitty cat stuff. It seemed like Zelensky's talking a big game, and he's like talking like, but it almost sounds like a walk back. It seems like a tactical retreat, if you will. The idea of like, well, I'm gonna back off, but I'm gonna save face while I do it type deal. That's what it feels like. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is just, no, he really is talking tough and he really means it. So I don't know. We'll see. Because from what I'm hearing too, also, I think there were also reports where Russia, from my understanding, has kind of settled down a little bit on some of the land expectations on their side as well too. So I don't know. Maybe we could see something come out of this. I mean, with everything going on. Let's be real. The establishment needs a W. Like they really always. I'm surprised they haven't pulled a card like this yet, but I don't know. So Ukrainian President Zelensky arrived in Berlin on 13 August. Oh, I guess he is actually going to be there. I was wrong. On 13 August for virtual meetings with European leaders and Trump ahead of talks between the president and Putin. Okay, there you go. So never mind. He's so that's in Berlin, and then they're going to. So it's yesterday they were in Berlin, and then tomorrow Trump's going to go to Alaska. So I was right. So okay, I'm an idiot. So hosted by German Chancellor Merz, Zelensky held an online meeting with officials from Finland, France, Britain, Italy, Poland, the EU, and NATO. Source told Reuters that Trump and U.S. President J.D. Vance joined the call afterwards. According to Politico, Ukraine planned to use the meeting to map out red lines aimed at deterring Russia from using the meeting with Trump to achieve its goals. Recent comments by Ukrainian officials indicate skepticism from Kyiv over the Trump-Putin summit. No, actually, didn't. Let me back up. All right, cool. I was just thinking and in my head, like, was Trump at this thing too? Yes. Okay, Trump was. These were virtual meetings, so these are big. Apparently, a lot of these guys went to Berlin to do Zoom meetings, so that's kind of funny. Anyways, all right. So I was just wondering because I was thinking as he's mapping out these red lines. Well, is Trump there? Yes, he is. So he's anyway. So he's mapping out his red lines. Recent comments by Ukrainian officials indicate skepticism from Kyiv of the Trump-Putin summit. It says, I don't expect any breakthrough from the summit. Putin did not abandon his ultimate goal to destroy Ukraine. I mean, he can only agree to a ceasefire that will create the conditions for our destruction, said Alexander Mrazevsko, head of the Foreign Relations Committee in the Ukrainian parliament. Now, I'll say that sounds hyperbolic and retarded to me. Earlier this week, Zelensky said, we understand the Russians' intention to try to deceive America. We will not allow this. We support what Trump wanted, a ceasefire, and then sit down at the negotiating table and talk about everything else. He told reporters on Tuesday, vowing not to give up any territory and retreat from the front lines. We will not leave Donbass. We cannot do this. Donbass for the Russians is a springboard for a future new offensive. If we leave Donbass of our own free will, or if we are pressured, we will open a third war. Putin doesn't want the occupation of our state from the point of view of territory. He doesn't want a sovereign Ukraine to exist, and that's the whole end game, Zelensky added. An informed source told Politico on 12 August that if Kyiv does ultimately have to make some compromise as part of a final deal based on the realities of the battlefield, it will then only talk about the territorial matters that after Russia agrees to and sticks to a ceasefire. So this is kind of what I was talking about, where they're, I guess, they are talking. There is, while they do have this, still have this, tough talk and like, well, Russia doesn't even want to do it, and like we wouldn't even really be willing to do anything anyways. But like if we were, that's kind of what this is. But it's like if Kiev ultimately does have to make, so yeah, I mean they're saying that Russia would have to stick to a ceasefire for it, which fair enough. Maybe we could get that. According to the outlet, Ukraine is doubling down on demands for an unconditional ceasefire before moving ahead on any negotiations, retaining all territory as captured, $1 trillion in reparations from Russia, NATO membership, and unconditional release of all prisoners. So that's the other thing, too, is I guess Ukraine's also captured some land, too. So then they're insisting that they get to keep the land they captured. So, which, I mean, I don't know. I think most people at this point are probably just like, if you guys could just be like, well, whatever we got, you got, and just move on. I think that's where most people are at. Additional pressure through economic sanctions on Putin is necessary to reach a ceasefire agreement. We will not give up any territory in Donbass, and there will be no discussion on Ukraine's territorial integrity. All right, I'm not going to keep belaboring this point. Essentially, maybe we'll have more info tomorrow, maybe not. I mean, we do it's a morning show, so we might not have much info out at that point. I'm not sure what the time difference is over there. Or actually, it's Alaska, so. Actually, yeah. I mean, it'll probably be pretty late in the day if I'm doing my time math correctly before we get anything out of there. So yeah. So probably won't hear anything about this from me till like Monday or something. So, but yeah, we're supposed to begin some talks here soon. On the China front, we have the Chinese military warned off a U.S. destroyer for South China Sea's Scarborough Shoal, whatever that means. Now this is sketchy. Warned off. So it says the USS Higgins was warned to leave site 2 days after reported collision in the area. So it entered disputed waters in the South China Sea less than 2 days after an apparent collision involving a Chinese Coast Guard vessel and a PLA Navy ship, whatever the PLA is, People's Liberation Army, while the former was pursuing a Philippine Coast Guard vessel in the area. All right, that's a few different things going on. The People's Liberation Army and Southern Theater Command. Ooh, I wonder if that's is it PLA? Is that Taiwan? Is that what that is? Am I just PLA? Let me see. People's Liberation Army. What is this? This is here we go. Sorry, I clicked on the People's Liberation Army, thinking it would be like Wikipedia and bring me. All right, whatever. Let's go back to this. I'll figure out what the hell that is in a second. Does Taiwan have their own army that I don't know about? Give me a second. I'm actually going to look it up. Liberation Army. Here you go. What is that? It's the military. Oh, no, it's the CCP's military. Okay. Well, then why did they say Chinese military? They had to make that confusing. Okay, my bad to make that weird for you guys. Anyways, that's just the Chinese military, the People's Liberation Army. They said on Wednesday the USS Higgins, an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, had illegally entered China territorial waters around Hyongwang Island without the approval of the Chinese government. The Navy tracked, monitored, and warned the vessel to leave. They said in a statement, it also criticized the U.S. military for seriously violating their sovereignty. Okay, so... All right, I thought maybe that the warning was like they actually fired or did something. But it's looking like perhaps it was just all verbal. But either way, this is, we're stepping in on territory, and there's other weird stuff going on, too, in that area. So we have weird property disputes. This is an area that could pop off any time. So, I mean, and let's be real. When you have these destroyers lurking in contested areas, I think they know. They know. They're testing the bounds of what they can get away with. So, all right, let's pop in the chat. It's been a minute. See what you guys got to say. A daily show with only 3 out of 5 days being about genocide would be pimp, said Tom33. Yeah. Yeah. Like what? Only 3 out of the 3 of the days we talk about it. Yeah, that'd be the move. Ukraine's getting their shit pushed in on the battlefield, says Knife Safety Plus. Until the West acknowledges this, the negotiations will be pointless. What's up, King David? Welcome to chat. Good morning. Good morning. Dr. Tori says China is collapsing internally. They are going to get more wild externally as the recession turns into depression. You're probably not wrong. All right. Let's get into the next thing now. Now that we're gonna stick up for my homie, the Quartering recently talked shit on my boy. So you don't put fucking dirt on the name of Ken Silva. Apparently he, I don't have the clip for you here, but according to Ken, I'll take his word for it. I'm not gonna go watch the Quartering to find out. I don't think I've ever watched that. I nothing about that has ever appealed to me. I don't really know what it is that he does, or I think he kind of hangs out in the pop culture. So like, I don't even think he really does a whole lot of particularly politics, even then though it's like in a pop sort of way. So I don't know. He isn't quite to the extent. It sounds like I'm sort of ironically describing a Benny Johnson of sorts, but they're not quite. I don't even really know how to describe what the Quartering is, but it doesn't do it for me. But he's not. Yeah, essentially. But anyways, according to Ken here, it says, this dumbass, this is his tweet, says, the Quartering called me a leftoid for accurately reporting on Benny's history, Benny Johnson, of unethical journalism. And the article only scratches the surface, by the way. Then he cuts an ad for some shitty coffee. Too perfect. So the Quartering, a guy who has, I know he's a huge channel. I don't know how big it is, but he apparently he brought up Headline USA and brought up an article that Ken shared or wrote, about Benny Johnson and his plagiarism. So I'm assuming maybe his buddies have been with Benny, so I don't know where that's coming from. Now, I'm not going to go watch the Quartering to see what a specific statement he made, but clearly I would say the very least it probably was to some degree some sort of knee-jerk protecting of a friend, or he's calling him a leftoid, or just an assumption of some sorts, considering Benny is more characteristically, considered among the right. So, it makes sense. Fuck you, some lefty shitting on Benny. Well, you know what? This running. Congrats, welcome to the Streisand effect, buddy. I know I don't have this isn't a huge show, but you know what? I see something like this and I go, you know what? Fine, we're gonna cover this. Normally, I wouldn't be like, let's go into a story about why Benny Johnson sucks ass. But today we're going to do that only because the Quartering made a thing of it, because he had to be a fat faggot. So here we are, and I'm here to, show him why his little bottom is a skeevy little bitch and steals shit. Which I am someone who doesn't. Before we get into it, I do want to preface this. mean, anyone who's been around for me, especially for the theory days where it was almost exclusively theory, IP's fake and gay. I don't believe in any sort of IP or anything like that. But at the same time, I do believe in shame. So I just want to put that out there before we get into it. I don't necessarily know if any of this, what we're going to get into, should be illegal. I mean, obviously, I can see exactly what he's being accused of, but it should be shamed. And so I'm fully on board with someone like a Ken pointing out what a shitbag this guy is. So here we go. It says conservative plagiarist Benny Johnson's show sued for stealing content. So here we go. The Benny Show, hosted by conservative grifter Benny Johnson. I love it right off the jump. Just shitting on him. Good. Fuck Benny Johnson. He's being sued for allegedly cribbing someone's video of flooding in Black Mountain, North Carolina from Hurricane Helene last year. And once again, to go back to this, I know we're going to be getting into this concept of cribbing or taking this or that. I don't even know specifically what he's being accused of or what even Ken's, but I do want to throw for any of my content ever, ever, you guys can do whatever the fuck you want with it. It's just, I just assume anything I put out to the world is open source. The idea that I somehow can, I don't know, assume some sort of ownership of what's events that are occurring right now, I literally put this thing in front of my face and put it out to a public space. The idea that then I can then go, I own that is just, no, you don't. You do not have the exclusive ability to control that. You factually don't, and it also just doesn't make sense. Intellectual property is retarded, and everyone always goes well, wouldn't you be mad if someone stole your shit? Yeah, I would be mad. And I would talk about it, and I would shame them, and I'm doing just like we're doing right now. There are many examples when it comes to IP of why it doesn't need to be illegal. For example, stand-up. You look at stand-up. If I went and stole if I went to Dave Smith's routine and just sat there fervently just writing down every little joke, and then I just went word for word and did his bit, for one, I probably wouldn't be able to deliver it in the same way. I likely just wouldn't be able to do it. But I likely would get found out, and I would get shamed, and I likely would not be able to make any sort of career as a stand-up comedian or something like that. I mean, there have been examples of people who get away with it. I mean, but hell, Joe Rogan, it's one of the things he's probably most famous for. What got his big start was pointing out someone for doing something like that. And he, it paid dividends for his reputation. He was known as someone willing to speak truth to power. So I don't know. It kind of works itself out. But either way, I'm also for shaming these people. I'm just these things can be held at the same time. Doesn't need to be illegal. You don't own these things, but it's also still really fucking weird if someone is behaving in a manner as if, or stealing things in untoward ways, I guess. The plaintiff, Virginia resident Billy Bowling, said in his lawsuit that he published a video of the flooding on September 28, 2024. 2 days later, Johnson's show took the video and published it on his YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble channels, according to the lawsuit filed Monday in North Carolina federal court. Bowling said he first noticed the infringements on October 7th. Later that month, the video was registered by the U.S. Copyrights Office. Okay, so I mean, that's gay, that he... So I guess this guy went out of his way to copyright it. Which I guess is a thing you can do, but I will say a little gay. But either way, this is regardless of that being gay, this also is Benny does this. Benny does it all the time. I've literally seen multiple examples of him doing this to Ken, where he'll take something he said, completely, cut it out and this and not really give Ken any sort of credit, which... Once again, to bring it back, if that was me, I just want to say that you guys are you guys can do that. I guess in a sense, it is weird. I guess I would prefer if you can throw your name, but I don't know. There's definitely people see it. There's certain ways people go about it. You're like, what are you? And it frames it in a way where it seems like you're the guy who got this scoop or whatever. All right. So this guy got the copyright. Let's keep going. April, Bowling sent a letter to Johnson's show about the alleged theft. A month later, he sent another video to avoid litigation. However, Johnson still has the videos on his channel. The reproduction of the video and display of the video constitutes willful copyright infringement. He seeks monetary compensation and for Johnson to disgorge the profits he made from the content. So he's trying to get some money from the content. He didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. But anyways, now we're getting to the interesting part. I'll be honest, the preamble there, I mean, I'm not at all, by the way, not that I think Ken would think this. I'm in no way throwing anything at Ken. It's worth reporting on because Benny is dealing with that. And also, then the second part, while that is maybe a slightly gay example because it is someone who copyrighted something, but although it is like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'd have to see where he got this from originally and how he posted it. I could be like, that's weird. But anyways, it's just, I mean, grifter is a good word for what this is, really. Like, I don't necessarily, once again, don't think it should be illegal. I just think you should be shamed. Anyways, now we're getting to where it's like less like one specific anecdotal example that's like maybe kind of dubious, but it's more of a thing over and over again, and just kind of it's kind of a scummy guy. He has a long history of unethical journalism in July 2014, because that's kind of what it is. I guess that's a good way to put it, unethical journalism. Because the thing is, I was struggling to find a word for it. Unethical journalism works because I don't look at Benny as a journalist. But the problem is, he does. And I think he tells people he is, and then he does shit like this, where then he'll always he'll do the like a Dom Lucra type thing that I've complained about him before. He'll be like breaking or this or that, and you're like, and the way in which you delivered that sounds as if you are implying you're the scoop or you're the progenitor of this. It just, yeah. In July 2014, Johnson was fired from BuzzFeed. Okay, I guess he actually was a journalist. I didn't even know that. He worked for BuzzFeed. After that site reportedly found 41 instances of sentences or phrases copied word for word from other sites among the 500 stories he had written. So, all right, now we're getting into when you look at one specific example, it does kind of feel like you do almost want to squirm and go, but now we're looking at this, we're like, oh, okay. Ooh, all right, not good. More recently, last year, the Justice Department revealed that Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin had all been secretly funded by Russia. All three men claimed that they were unaware of receiving Russian money. Johnson said he had been asked to provide content to a media startup. He said his lawyers negotiated a standard arm's-length deal, which was later terminated. Now, I do want to say, that tenant thing, that's one thing I would like to... I feel like I haven't seen anything on that in a while. And, the last we saw it was kind of new, and it was kind of we don't know much. And I just really feel like I haven't seen much reporting since then. I'm kind of interested in what's come of that. Because, I could see it being either way. I could totally see this being these people didn't know, and this was some sort of way to essentially, I don't know, get in some sort of influence campaign, and also maybe even some component of if or this gets found out, or maybe they want it to get found out, that, now these individuals get smeared with Russian whatever. I don't know. I have no idea what the situation is there. It's hard to know when you're dealing with because it's what was it? Lauren Chen, I think, was the person who was supposedly getting money from another entity, and even then Lauren Chen was the go-between for these people. So it gets confusing, and you get to this it's believable that Johnson, Tim Pool, and Dave Rubin didn't know anything about this. But I am also, all three of those guys are individuals, and I'm also fully willing to believe that they were receiving some sort of weird, weird money elsewhere. I don't know. Johnson has also taken material from this reporter without attribution. Earlier this year, Headline USA broke the story that alleged would-be Trump assassin Ryan Routh attempted to buy a rocket launcher from a purported Ukrainian. This reporter was the first to publish court records about the matter, and Johnson took those records and posted them on his Twitter X account without attribution. Which, yeah, if especially a journalist, it's because the thing is what makes this even grosser is that he's sitting here lurking, and he I don't know if he follows Ken or what, but I believe this isn't the first time he's done it, with Ken. He's using this example, but it's so this guy's probably a journalist, and then you're doing this, so it's this is literally their job. It's one thing if it's just some dude, if it's Harry Ball's 7:30, and then he posted something interesting and you copy and paste it or whatever. Even then, even if it's something crazy, you might want to give them the point being, if it's a journalist, dude, come on. And if it's he's doing this regularly, what you are doing. Along with his unethical behavior, he's also made egregious reporting errors. For instance, in a documentary about July 13, 2024, Trump assassination attempt, he falsely reported that Secret Service counter snipers returned fire and missed the alleged shooter. That's the end of it. So just kind of want to point out Benny sucks. I know I've rampaged him a few times on the show just because I remember he was one of the few individuals who kind of looked like he was bucking the programming for a minute with this Epstein stuff, and then he kind of fell back in line, and I shamed him big time as he fell back in line. But hey, what can you do? But here we are again. Just want to point out, if you guys ever thought maybe there was something more to this guy, maybe there's something worthwhile. No, there isn't. Benny Johnson's completely fucking worthless, unless you're just looking for a wormhole. That's about the use of Benny Johnson. All right, let's roll the chat. Spent a minute. Oh man, you guys talked a bunch. What all else you guys say? The quartering is the big spoon in his relationship with Benny. 100%. I'm pretty sure positive the quartering went after Benny. Did he now? Oh, that'd be interesting. That'd confuse the situation even more here, because he's calling. Maybe he just assumed. Maybe he doesn't like Benny. I don't know. I don't even know what the drama is. I just was like, hey, he got weird and called Ken a lefty. Maybe he's just assumed. Maybe it was a harmless little lefty comment. It's just being silly. Just assumed based on the fact. Although I'd say something about like headline USA with like the red, blue, and nothing about that screams lefty to me. But either way, whatever. I guess maybe it was just an assumption on his part. But Andrew says, listen to the quartering for a number of months after one of my favorite Timcast peeps joined his channel after Tim fired her and her unborn baby. Jeremy is a terrible, terrible host. Never watch. I will say, I know what you're talking about. It was cool. I did think it was cool he hired the one chick. I mean, I don't know. I mean, not that like Tim Pool's like, I guess, I don't know, he has to keep these people. Just something about that felt weird. So that whole situation felt odd. Era said, who did Tim fire? Oh, well, he fired a ton of people a while back. He fired his, for those who do pay attention to Tim Pool, you've probably noticed for a while, if you are like a regular, if you are a regular and you watch the show, that's odd. But anyways, Cassandra McDonald got fired, who was his booker, point being is like, you've probably noticed a fairly marked difference in the guests over a period of time. Not that I'm even saying that Cassandra wouldn't, put on, people who had different, politics than her. Me and her don't even like, our politics don't match up entirely. But she was very much like anti-neocon and like, very much was about, although she would still get in like neocon voice and stuff too. So, but point being is now there's a different booker. They also fired, I think, a few of the journalists. They did a lot of cleaning house. One of the co-hosts, which I can't even think of her name right now. I feel bad. She's really sweet. She was there for one of the episodes I did. Why can't I think of her name? Really bugging me. I can't think of her name because she's a really sweet girl. I don't mean anything mean by that. Hannah Claire. I guess Tim fired him. Fired Hannah Claire, Chris Burtman. Yep. And Cassandra McDonald. I was not too happy about that, but I mean, whatever. I mean, it's his business. What can I do? And I guess in a whole bunch of other non-front-facing people. What's my take on Fuentes, says Marty McFly. Have I not talked about Fuentes on the morning show? I don't know. He intrigues me, but not enough to really watch his show regularly. I do see clips from him every now and then I like. I don't know. I guess some of his race stuff, I would disagree with this and that, but even then, not as hard as some people would think. I don't know. He's a little bit more, seems to have more belief in the political, but even then, he's more politically savvy. I don't know. I like him. I generally like him. I know a lot of people in our realm do, think he could be a Fed or he's, some sort of shitco. And maybe, I don't know, maybe. I'm fully open to it, but I don't know, maybe it feels somewhat, I'd say at the very least, like, especially in the current binary between him and Tucker, I mean, just putting them, juxtaposing the two makes me feel like I don't think he is a Fed. So I kind of feel like he's more organic than anything, but I'm also completely open to the idea that he is too. But I don't know. That's I generally like the guy. I generally find him enjoyable. I do find him have a little bit of bitchy energy, which I find maybe doesn't do him well. And but I don't know. He is still a young guy, I think, and he's still like 25 or some shit. So I don't know. I don't really have anything bad particularly to say about him. I almost feel like whenever I feel like I almost should look for something bad to say about him. I can't even really think offhand one specific like take that he has that I like vigorously. I'm sure maybe something come to me, but I don't know. Yeah, but I also don't even know enough about his takes to really, I don't know, have strong opinions. Yeah, someone says he had a Jewish dude who made Shmuley look like moderate. Yeah, there's a clip going around about something about he was claiming that apparently they tricked people and did the actual red heifer ritual, for those who know what I'm talking about there, which is kind of wild. I'll have to check up on that one later. So they all feds as Marty McFly, Tucker, Nick, Teal, Candace, I guess. I don't doubt it. I mean, I don't know. I would say Nick and Candace are the ones that I think are the least, obviously, of those four you gave me right there. Candace, although I think at the very least Candace is swimming in dangerous waters. I'll say that. I don't know. Says Arizona says Cassandra got fired for having her tits online. It makes it hard to lean into the right-wing grift. I don't think that's the case at all, Arizona. I know what you're talking about. Because Cassandra's been like a name for a long time, but I highly doubt that she got fired for the nudes of her online from I think decades ago at this point. Those have been known for a long period of time, and she worked for Tim, I think, from my understanding, basically. I don't know. So yeah, she's married now, has kids, multiple kids. I've met her in person, really nice lady. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know where you're going with that, Arizona, but I don't think she got fired with it. And then the idea that it anyway makes it hard to lean into a right-wing grift. For one, I don't think she particularly ever really branded herself as particularly traditional, so I don't think that's an issue really anyways. But even if she was, I've met her. She's pretty dang traditional from what I know of her. I mean, we're not close friends or anything, so I don't know the ins and outs of her personal life, but she strikes me as fairly traditional in that sense. So, yeah, I don't know. If anything, I'd say she's more right-wing than they are, than Tim is, so. Let me see. He's kind of whiny, but he has some fire monologues. Says exactly. He has some really great clips. That's for damn sure. Yeah, it was for sure her Israel take, says Mogera. I don't even know about that either, because I don't know what the thing was, if there was a thing or what it. But she had been fucking rampaging Israel for a while. I don't know why I keep using rampage there. I need another word. Excoriating. There you go. That's a good one. I don't know. She was shit on Israel for a long time. I mean, maybe that's what did it. Who knows? But she had been doing that for a long while, and if anything, increasingly getting worse. So, Mulgaris strikes me as Buchanan type, but Cassandra, that would be my guess too. She's probably more of a Buchananite. But anyways, let's get into the next story. Here's one of the stories that kind of popped out while I was out. Apparently Epstein's butler let me see if I actually can find the photo real quick. For some reason the photo isn't in this piece. But let's see if I can find it real quick for you guys, because there was a photo going around recently that everyone, here we go, right here, boom. This photo, damn it, my bad. Okay, here we go. You guys can see the photo. This one right here with him, a guy in a white shirt, kind of, silver-haired Indian fox-looking type guy or whatever, and then Epstein next to him, ironically in an IDF sweatshirt. So that photo made the rounds, but what that came from was from Jeffrey Epstein's butler, not brother. He was the guy who was next to him in that photo, and he's kind of come out and said some stuff. It's Valdson Vieira Cotrin. He says, so he's speaking about the first time about his former boss and when he met Bill Clinton. Here's a photo of him back in the day. This is, I guess this was his early 40s. Jeez, he looks like a child still in that photo, although the photo's super grainy. But here we go. This is from the Times. He says, before Bill Clinton flew into London in September 2002 to address Labour Party conference, he just stopped over in Paris. The former president, who had been touring Africa on a humanitarian trip, was flying on the private jet of a man he praised at the time as a highly successful financier and a committed philanthropist. That man was the pedophile businessman Jeffrey Epstein, and the aircraft was his Boeing 727-100, which would later be nicknamed the Lolita Express, which I think I may have forgotten to cover this when we recently covered the recent expose on the all the different items. It was almost like his, Epstein's Batcave, where he had all these weird little things from, they say like $1 signed by Bill Gates, and then photos with this person and that person. One of the many weird little odds and ends that he had was the book Lolita. It was a first edition, I think, and it was like it might have been some sort of additional like special edition or whatever. I think it was like, I don't know if it was framed or what, but it had some sort of display or something, I believe, if I recall correctly. And for those who aren't aware what that is, that's a book. I don't recall the exact plot, but essentially it's an older book about some, I think, rich man that I believe, I think it's a 12-year-old in the book that is, essentially that's the plot to some degree. I don't know what part. Maybe it's just a small component of the plot, but the Lolita is that's the plot there is that some billionaire raping a child over and over again. So, I mean, and that's where the Lolita Express, the Lolita book. So that's where these references seemingly come from. Cochran assumed that this would be George Bush, but arrived to find Clinton, who had left office the previous year. I said, I was trembling, as it was not every day that you meet someone of that stature, Cochran said in an interview with The Telegraph. This is the first time Cochran, who worked for Epstein for 18 years, has spoken publicly, and his headline claim is his former boss loved life too much to kill himself. The interview will put renewed pressure on the Trump administration to make the trove of documents known as the Epstein files public, and will intensify scrutiny of President Trump's friendship with a convicted sex offender. Cochran said he believes that Trump, now listen to this, this sentence right here is a wallop. Cochran said he believes that Trump, who called Epstein a terrific guy in 2002, profile in New York Magazine, offered Epstein a job in his first administration, even though the pair had fallen out in 2004 over a property deal. Sources within the first Trump administration said this idea seemed fanciful. Okay, whatever. That means nothing. But to be fair, it doesn't mean a lot that the Butler is saying this either. I mean, it means something. I don't know if maybe he gives more specifics. So the interview will also put renewed attention on Clinton's relationship with Epstein, who was found hanged in a cell in August 2019 while awaiting trial on charges of trafficking underage girls. Last week, the former U.S. president and his wife, Hillary, the former Secretary of State, was summoned to testify as part of a widening congressional investigation into Epstein. Flight logs show that Clinton. So anyways, he went 26 trips, 2001 to 2003. In the 2002 London trip, Epstein and Clinton, alongside Kevin Spacey and Ghislaine Maxwell, were invited by Prince Andrew on a tour of Buckingham Palace. Cochran, 63 now, who has joint French and Brazilian nationality, had only started working for Epstein, who he calls Monsieur, that same year. There were many girls, Cochran recalled, of Epstein's life during that period. At that time, he was at the height of his powers, both financially and as a young man. In terms of women, it was a merry-go-round. 2 arrived and 2 left every day. Cochran was the only member of the staff who worked full-time for Epstein in Paris and acted as his butler, driver, and cook. He recalls making meals and chauffeuring for Andrew 5 or 6 times, and that a coterie of celebrities and politicians visited Epstein, from Woody Allen to Lord Mandelson, the UK's ambassador to Washington. Cochran claims he never once saw his boss being predatory towards underage girls, and said that he believed that young female staff were hired to massage Epstein and to cut his nails. So that's what I throw that out. Bear in mind, this guy isn't telling all. He's just telling some things, telling a few things. And even then, a few things you should probably take with a couple grains of salt and be like, what's up with this guy? Although I do think there's probably some truth to some of the stuff he's saying. Like, for example, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump, offered him the administration thing, offered him a spot in his administration, but it's just obviously that one specific line. But it's like, let's be real. This dude, I don't know to what degree this guy partook or did what, but this is literally like the most over-the-top, probably knowing where like the bodies are buried type of character you really could think of. Like, this is a guy that if only I could just strap this guy down to the basement and just fucking, whip out the power tools. Like, we'll find out some shit. Like, this guy right here, he knows, like, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's some method by which they are able to segment out this information to where he was limited. But I have a feeling this guy knows a lot, because the way they're describing him, being since his 40s and he's in his 60s now, so 3 decades essentially of service for Epstein as a butler, like probably the most closest. He's literally the Alfred. He is literally the evil Alfred. That's what he is. He is, hell, shit. Epstein's just evil Batman if you think about it. Shit, even has like a bat cave. Yeah, Epstein is evil Batman, and this dude is evil Butler. But it seems that he might have a little bit of love for his homie Jeffrey, and I think he might be a little bit upset at Ghislaine. But we'll get into that. Or maybe he's just trying to push away. Go look at Ghislaine. Don't look over at this stuff over here. She was the real baddie. Clinton, now 78, has always denied knowing anything of Epstein's criminal behavior and says he regrets meeting him. All right, Clinton. I don't care about that. What else do we have? Okay, in Cochran's much more modest house in France, a photo hangs on the wall of him and Clinton aboard the Lolita Express. This is not the only image that ties a former president to Epstein. In Epstein's New York townhouse, worth an estimated $77 million, he had hung a painting of Bill Clinton in the Oval Office wearing drag. The work by the Australian artist Paulina Ryan-Cleed is known as Parsing Bill and shows the former president in red stilettos in a cornflower dress similar to one worn by Monica Lewinsky. One theory is Epstein decided to hang the painting after being dumped by his former friend. After Trump's victory in 2024, his administration said it was reviewing thousands of documents and footage relating to Epstein. However, the Justice Department FBI then said last month, okay, blah, 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 blah. All right, now it's just going over the shit we know before. All right, here's the last. Let me see what else we got here. All right, we have Cochran argues that Maxwell is the key to unlocking the involvement of celebrities and politicians in the scandal. If anyone knows things, it's Miss Maxwell, he said. She didn't give massages, but she was in charge. For a long time, she ran everything in the house. And so that's from the butler, from his, like, probably his literally number 2 guy, is that she was running everything. Obviously, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? I mean, if Epstein, I mean, let's say, who knows? Maybe Epstein ran everything and he's just saying that to cast blame the other way. I don't know. Obviously, you can't trust this guy too much, but either way, this guy is a minor lizard person coming out, dropping some info. So interesting stuff. I think the biggest thing really in here is the one little line. And so I think they're getting ready to drop some sort of interview. So he says they're speaking. So I'm assuming there'll be some sort of interview coming up soon on it or something. Or maybe it's already out. I'll have to look into that later to find maybe more specifics. But the administration claim is probably the biggest thing that I find interesting there. Of all these things. All right, let's roll through the chat, and then I'm going to do a couple more stories after that. So let's see what we got here. Arizona says, I like her work. I just remember that whole thing, and that was the talk online. I was talking about Tim trying to appeal to the right. Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't think that was what did it, though. That would have been kind of wild. This was forever ago, so. Marty says, I think Nick is least likely to be fed, but would not be surprised if he was. Yep, that's where I'm at. Yeah. To fire someone like Hannah Claire but keep Phil and Elad is crazy. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad even saying anything, but yeah, Phil's, I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I'm not even going to talk shit, but yeah, it's, wow. Yeah, there's something. At least Hannah Claire was like intensely likable. I mean, she seemed relatively knowledgeable. I'm not gonna glaze her and say she's like some great political, analytical mind or something. But she was she was pretty. She was nice. She was very sweet, informed. I don't know. I liked her a lot. So I had nothing. I've only did one podcast with her, but she's super sweet. Left a good impression on me. So really good people skills, I'd say. So good for her. And then Elad, I've never even like cared to even not like him. I know he's like their resident neocon, but I know like nothing about him. Basically, I just never even cared enough about him to dislike him. So Epstein had the picture book edition of Lolita, said Brain Bucket. Okay, I believe that's a joke. Mulgara says, I'm probably coping, but I don't mind Phil. I grew up listening to his music. Yeah, that's why I kind of felt bad even saying anything, and I do. I mean, the Fall of Ideals, that was like the soundtrack of my junior summer. I fucking love that. Like, I still love that album. So yeah, whatever. I guess you can't have it all. I can't expect my my musical heroes to also be political fucking I don't know, political geniuses or something, or I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Mulgara talking more about trying to give Phil some grace for his music. Yeah, his music was big for me too. So I don't know, whatever. His takes are dog shit though, and they are just the worst. And it's unbelievably bad. You're like I've seen so many takes from him. Just like I just can't even believe you're that dumb. I just struggle to believe you're that dumb. But I don't know. We'll see. All right. Can't believe Ghislaine would try to ruin Epstein's reputations like that. It says knife safety plus. What's up, Mike Mortal? It says good to see you back. Hope the keys are well. They are doing good. Kitties are just a cover story. I'm hoarding water. Yes, that is true. Fire Pixie, you're on to me. All right, let's get into some Ghislaine stuff. Here is a little video for you guys. Let's watch this.
These materials would reveal nothing new. They're basically a summary of things that are already in the public record from the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell.
But by the way, I guess I kind of jumped in the middle of the clip. This is in reference to, I think we might have covered this on Already. Actually, I wasn't there for Already Dead. I don't know, whatever. I feel like I talked about this recently. It's hard to always parse out what was just in my head and what I talked about on the show. But recently, I guess, the judge that... The federal judge, they essentially appealed the decision. I think many of you guys have been following the ins and outs of this Epstein stuff. There was that grand jury that the Trump administration made a request for the shit to be unsealed, and then the federal judge came back and said, and then they appealed it, and now we're at the step where they came back and said, again. That's where we're at. Just to put it simply. That the judge, you got a second from the judges. I don't know if it's the same judge as before. I don't know the specifics here. Either way, kind of beside the point. I think I think I talked about this on my Dutro episode actually. But it's my understanding. I forget which it is because the thing is, it's a little bit confusing. There's two grand juries. There's a Ghislaine grand jury, and I think we may even have covered this on the morning show before. There's a Ghislaine grand jury, and there was an Epstein grand jury. And one of them had only, I believe, one witness statements, and then one had two statements of a witness, or two witness statements, like not separate, like two from two different people or one person. And I forget which one was which, but either way, it kind of really makes no difference because one of them, actually two of them had an FBI agent as one of the witness statements in there. And then the one that had the additional had also a detective's witness statement. So point being is you have one of these grand juries, all the information that you're going to get out of there is some witness statements of an FBI agent. And the other one, if it happens to be that one, is the witness statements of an FBI agent and a cop. So like, what are we getting here? And that's kind of what I think the judge even said that, I think, in the appeal. So just to give you that little bit of context before we continue this.
Just read from one of the passages here. A member of the public familiar with the Maxwell trial record, the judge wrote, who reviewed these grand jury materials would learn next to nothing new. He said they do not reveal new venues at which their crimes occurred. They do not reveal new sources of their wealth. He's talking about Epstein and Maxwell. They do not explore the circumstances of Epstein's death, and they do not reveal the path of the government investigation. He further said there's no client list in here. As you said, there's no allegation that anyone else had sexual contact with minors. And he is saying that really the only decent legal argument to release these transcripts, this was remarkable, is that it would show that the Justice Department's argument for doing so was totally disingenuous and may have been more about distraction than transparency. Those are the words of a federal judge, Anna.
All right. So there's that's what's going on. The judge itself basically saying this was nothing. And that's why they're trying to do this. So, which we said this from the jump, just as the more we've dug into it, the more we're like, oh, this really is nothing, and an insulting degree of nothing. But to continue along this train, we recently had floated out. There was some reporting that perhaps Ghislaine, or I guess not even perhaps, the reporting was that this was the case, is my understanding, is that Ghislaine is now eligible for work release, or is essentially like or an early release of sorts. Well, apparently that's been called into question, and so we're going to take this and go through some of this. Here's apparently the lawyer spoke up on this. So here's Ghislaine Maxwell, serving 20 years for sex trafficking minors, has been given permission to leave minimum security campus for work assignments per Mueller, she wrote, which is this someone with a newsletter, the 700 plus follower, 1,000 follower account. And then here is, you can see from her reporting, this shows like what looks like a screenshot of a portion of some documents. It says here's her level and custody summary. You can see here it says level and custody summary, just some document here for those listening. It says base +7, cust +20. I don't know what any of these things mean. Variance -8, sec total 0, scored low, lev nothing behind it, management MGMT nothing, security SEC. I'm assuming that's security. It says minimum, and then so it's security level minimum. Then custody, it says out. And it says what stands out here is the custody level out, which allows her to leave the minimum security campus for work assignments, much like Jeffrey Epstein was allowed to leave prison as part of the sweetheart deal he got from Alex Acosta that was penned by Alan Dershowitz. So that's the contention here, is that not early release. I've seen some people saying early release, although maybe this would put her on that track as well. I'm unsure. Although my understanding is she had to get wavered to be even applicable for this due to the sex crimes, because these sorts of work, whatever, these minimum security things doesn't even apply for them. But anyways, then on top of that, it looks like perhaps she might be being allowed to leave prison. Then on that, though, here's David Oscar Marcus, one of her attorneys. It says, another day, another false rumor about Ghislaine meant to unnecessarily inflame folks. So, I don't know, maybe that's not legit. I'm going through this with you guys. And then here is the latest on this. And then so here is Mueller, she wrote, the account we talked about a minute ago, saying, my reporting has come to the attention of Ghislaine Maxwell's attorney. Then here's the response I provided to the Daily Beast. So let's go ahead and read what they said here. They shared the original, and then it says the response. It says, good morning. Here's my response. I stand by my reporting and my sources. Ghislaine Maxwell's electronic file clearly shows her public safety factor of sex offender, SEXOFFN, has been waived, and then because it's MGTV, PSF, WAV, I guess this is understanding these codes to some degree. You have to take their word for it. I mean, allowing her to be transferred to a minimum security camp, which by default includes work release. So now I think I would assume, and maybe he'll get into this in a second, that he's like, well, yeah, I have a feeling that maybe what this is like, well, she's not like getting work release right now, but she's like, I guess she could like qualify for it maybe. Like that's what I bet you it'll be, something like that. But we'll see. I'm holding out. We're gonna get another response from the lawyer in a second. It says, I have not reported that Miss Maxwell has left the facility on work assignments, but if Mr. Marcus would like to go on the record and assure the residents of Bryan that she will not leave the facility as the waiver apparently grants, I'm certain they and Maxwell survivors who have been left out of this process at every step would be relieved to hear it. I'd also like to ask Mr. Marcus who authorized the waiver. So now let's see what he has to say to this. This is the latest in his back and forth. She goes, there is no such, now this is back to the Ghislaine's lawyer. He goes, there is no such thing as work release in federal prison, so your reporting is false. All you had to do was ask any criminal law practitioner, and they would have explained this to you. I wish we had work release in federal prison, and I wish we treated people behind bars better than we do. How about you? He says, I'm surprised to hear my progressive friends criticizing more humane prisons and Ghislaine's transfer to a safer facility, especially after she faced serious danger in Tallahassee. The outrage machine wants to turn a safer placement into a scandal, but still prison, and despite the sound bites, prison is a truly awful place. Instead of wrongfully riling people up, remember Churchill's words. The mood and temper of the public in regard to the treatment of crime and criminals is one of the most unfailing tests of the civilization of any country. Okay. Let me see. What's this? Well, okay. Then someone shared right below. I'm looking at the comments now. Someone shared right below it. Understanding work release programs in federal prisons. So someone literally found like a little informational site. So I don't know what to believe here. Then it goes work release programs in federal prisons. Like I know work release programs are a thing, but I guess it was believable to me that maybe they're not in federal prisons. Maybe that's only in like state prisons, state, local, county, whatever. Just not federal. But this seems to imply otherwise. So it says work release programs in federal prisons are designed to facilitate the transition of inmates back into society, providing them with opportunities to engage in gainful employment while still serving their sentences. These programs aim to reduce recidivism by equipping inmates with the skills and experience necessary to secure employment upon their release. What exactly are work release programs and how they function within the federal prison system? Okay. I don't know what to make of that. Obviously, that's just someone just screenshotting some info page somewhere else. Then here's the same person again. It says, you just kind of a Google, can federal inmates get work release? And it goes, yes, the federal government offers work release programs for inmates. Okay. I don't know what to make of this. So I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. Even Grok is saying here. Here's someone who got Grok. He says it's going into. It goes in BOP. Well, okay. I guess it's a. Okay. Okay. Never mind. I thought maybe that was commenting on the federal aspect of it. No, that's talking about something else. Yeah, here we go. Once again. Oh no, I'm wrong. Actually, federal BOP does have work release programs. That was about it. So in BOP, that would refer to Bureau of Prisons, Federal Bureau of Prisons. So out custody is the second lowest level, allowing minimum security inmates like Maxwell eligibility for supervised work details outside the facility with intermittent oversight. So I don't know. Everything I'm seeing, I mean, obviously I haven't gone in the weeds of like a political law, or not political law, but like a legal code is what I meant to say, I guess. Everything, all the information I'm seeing seems to back up that I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. It seems like federal prisons have yeah, I don't know. Here we go. Actually, someone had the correct thought. So thank you, Grok. So would Marcus be attempting to be deceiving in his statements? And then it goes, no, DeMarcus isn't deceiving. Federal prisons don't have traditional work release like state programs, like state systems where inmates work freely in the community. Maxwell's out custody at FPC Bryan allows supervised external work details with oversight, but it's still prison, not release. He's correcting this. Oh my God! All right. Well, I'm glad. Man, Grok coming to the rescue here. So, all right, we've come to it here. It sounds like to me, this is legal. This is what factual, not truthful. That's what we're seeing right here. This is what we're seeing in real time. Factual, not truthful. Meanwhile, all of this was true, and it was this thing where technically no one's lying here. Technically, nobody's lying, but because I guess the contention here is they don't have traditional work release. So what is I guess colloquially considered work release. But it's because it's still considered prison, not release, but it's still, I mean, they still work, elsewhere. That's oversight. All right. That's something. Wow, isn't it crazy when that's why I like this show. I like this show a lot because sometimes we just take the moment to like dig into the specifics of things. Because most places you're probably either going to get one or the other. You're going to get how this narrative game plays. You're going to get people just going, oh my God, they're releasing her on work release. And it's like, I have to be like, are they? I don't know. I mean, sort of, yes, not really, kind of. And then you have the other side, and the other reporting will be like, no, they're not. She's not getting. See, the lawyer said the opposite. You're retarded. And so, whereas, like, if you take a moment, you dig a little bit deeper, you're like, oh, you're both right, and you fucking suck. And it's like, yeah, you're both right, but this honestly, I mean, I guess he's a lawyer, so it is his job. But it's like, you're both right, but that's God. What a disgusting way to be right. Because yeah, it's very deceiving. It's very deceptive, but it's technically true. All right, let's roll the chat, and we'll get into the next one. I'm going to get into Andrew Tate's Rabbi. I thought that was a particularly interesting one I ran across yesterday. All right, no cheese ravioli to see here, folks. His comment, Mama. About a free Palestines in the chat. All right. All right. What are you guys talking about Spanish for? You guys talking about Spanish being you're talking about Puerto Ricans in the chat for some reason. Oh, or Knife Safety asking if my wife would ever leave me for a Puerto Rican. Yeah. All right. Did I ever talk about the CDC shooters as bug fights? No, I did not. I just didn't ever really had a lot going on. When even was that? I feel like that was when was that the one when I was gone, when I was on vacation? That might have been it. That might be why I missed that. So, yeah, young white guy that was mad about the vax and the AR, but no coverage. Yeah, once again, feel free to, I mean, if there's something that was semi-recent, remember, tag me in it. We can go, talk about this tomorrow, so. Mulgara says, never forget Andrew Tate said you should fuck a troon if they look like Megan Fox but have a dick. Now, to be fair, I have been one who has found myself in these hilarious sorts of hypotheticals where you ask these awful questions. I believe, if I recall correctly, it was a pretty funny clip. And I believe the hypothetical here was Megan Fox with a wiener, or it was Hulk Hogan with a vagina. And it's like, there's no winning here. And the funny part about it is, like, you can kind of make funny arguments for either. So, and he chose Megan Fox. So, I can't really hold that one against him. So, all right, let's go into the next story. Here we go. It says, someone says, never ask who the rabbi behind Hustler University in the War Room is. It may cost you dearly. And then once again, here's another one of these Grok things. And someone says, Grok, who's the rabbi behind Hustler University? And then Grok says, the figure referred to as the rabbi behind Andrew Tate's Hustler University, now the real world, which I'm going to need someone to explain that to me. What do you mean his Hustler University is called the real world now? Did they like take over MTV's Real World? Or is it a reality show? Anyways, in War Room, which I think is their podcast, is likely Miles Gary Sonkin, a.k.a. Iggy Semmelweis. He's Tate's right-hand man, a self-described hypnotist with a history in alleged cults. The rabbi label appears to be a conspiratorial nod to his possible Jewish heritage. Unsubstantiated as actual rabbinical status, sources Bellingcat BBC Investigations. And someone says, Grok, what's his history in cults? And he goes, Miles Sonkin, a.k.a. Iggy Semmelweis, born 1961 in Chicago, was allegedly involved in at least 2 cults in the 1980s, including Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh's Osho controversial group as documented in Netflix's Wild Wild Country. He later developed interests in hypnosis and pickup artistry under aliases like Douglas Hall. And then, let me see, what's the other cult? The other cult, I guess the other cult remains unspecified, possibly due to limit public details. So, yeah, that would be one I'd be interested in looking into more, but I find that odd. And here is a photo of him again. If you weren't thoroughly terrified, he looks like a fake character in a movie. But yeah, this is some 60-year-old dude who I guess is kind of behind the scenes of these fellers. And yeah, he also has some crazy quotes too, which makes it even weirder. If you go through, here's this. I mean, to be fair, I don't know the dates of a lot of these. If you scroll through the comments on this post, you can see all sorts of crazy statements this guy has made before, which is particularly in regards to Israel. So, for example, here's one. He goes, Israel will never stop until Hamas and Hezbollah are completely and utterly wiped out. Because they know that the situations were reversed, Hamas and Hezbollah will show no mercy at all. And then here we go. Here's one where he's talking about what's this from? It's from 2021. I don't know. Anyways, but I've seen a lot of. Point being is he seems to be like I don't know to what degree, if this is newer or older, but it seems like he is, or at least was in the past, super duper Zionist. That's the weirdness about this too. especially given Tate's kind of perception as being not that. Although, from my understanding of what he is and what he does, I could totally see him having a business relationship with someone who is super pro-Israeli genocide or whatever, and have no problem. But he has seated himself out there as someone who is against such things, so it is a little curious at the very least. So, and then here we go. Actually, here's Tristan. To be fair, here's Tristan Tate's response. So actually, I'd like to see this because this is Tristan Tate. This is Andrew Tate's brother. So this is what he has to say. He says, this man was a war room member, one of thousands. He has never had any connection to the real world. Okay, there we go. The idea is our handler was cooked up by Vice News, and here you are repeating it. I do want to look into this more now, considering is now they're saying this was literally reported on by Vice before, and now they're saying otherwise. So the war room has Russian members, Ukrainian members, Arab members, and Indian members. Photos of me with them do not get spread with accusations that Putin put a handler in place for us. The funniest thing about this Vice News invented shit story is that Iggy left the war room 2 years ago, as is every member's right, and every member's right, and we haven't heard of him since. Hope he's doing well, but you are a retard. Okay, well then, to be fair, this seems like a non-story, which once again comes back to why I like the show. But it could be, once again, this might be another thing we need to dig deeper, and it's not a non-story. So I moved on to follow up on the Vice thing, but he did respond, so hey, there's something. But the guy did go 2 years ago at the very least, assuming we take his word for it. So interesting. And then here's someone else saying, or I guess to respond. Let's see what he has to say. Maybe there's something worthwhile in there. He says, thanks for your prompt reply. He says, I'll respond to the substantial 95% of your post. I understand your desire to defend your former colleague, but you must see how questionable it appears that a rabbi / hypnotist / Kabbalah practitioner held such prominence within your organization. From what I know about you, we share the same faith, the Eastern Orthodox Church. So believe me when I say this message is said in good faith. Okay, and then he's just trying to get. Then he invited him for a podcast. Okay, I thought maybe there was something more there. Okay, I'm scrolling through. It seems all right. Maybe it's something we could dig into more and find something of more interest. But yeah. It seems like they address it. It seems like there might be, maybe we could dig into this at a later point. There might be some interesting stuff to dig into there. But I think that's all we have for now. All right, let's roll through the chat. And I think I have one more story for you guys today, and we'll probably save the rest of it for tomorrow. We got through the majority of what I wanted to get through today. Let's check in with you all. Tate is feminism for men, says Bug Fights. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Once again, Tate is like kind of very much like Fuentes to me. I find him enjoyable from looking at him from the periphery. I find him... I'm aware of the deficiencies. I do think his like bravado, pimp, whatever, machismo shit's kind of pretty fucking gay. But it makes for a funny character work and stuff. So kind of like on the flip side, when you look at Fuentes, I do find his kind of bitchy, kind of, I don't know, prickly energy a little bit off-putting. But, hey, but at the same time, though, he's also an enjoyable character. So maybe the prickly side of the things that I dislike, I'll maybe contribute to what makes them enjoyable. I don't know. But, yeah, he's kind of in that weird same boat to where I do enjoy them from the outside looking in. I'm somewhat aware of the things I disagree with, although I don't know enough about their positions to really be even all that, to even be that in opposition to them, if that makes sense. So... didn't they convert to Islam or some dumb shit, says Dr. Yeah, I think so. I don't know when or where, the story behind it. Don't really know, don't really care, to be honest. But that is, I'm aware, I do believe that is the case. All right, last story for the day. Should it be the last story? Let me scroll. Yeah, let's do this as the last story. This is from Kash Patel. It says the FBI has busted an alleged human trafficking ring with 10 children, some under 12, and 17 adults. Because the individuals were rescued from filthy Nebraska hotels where they were allegedly trafficked for sex and forced labor. It says your FBI will never stop fighting for victims and delivering justice, and we will hunt predators to the end of the earth. Tell that to your purported 1,000 Epstein victims, is what I would say, or thousands of Epstein's victims, because I believe, what was it? I forget which document of it was of theirs, but they had one of their documents they claimed. I believe it was the one Ironically, I think it was actually the one where they said nothing to see here. We're moving on. We can't do nothing. They said that. I believe that was actually the document where it said thousands of victims. That's where they upped it from. I believe before that, given government's own words, it was hundreds. I think, or might even have been dozens at that point. I believe it was there. So, anyways, and you're like, hey, look, we got 10 kids. And you're like, okay, I'm glad 10 kids aren't being, but like when you compare this against thousands. All right, let's read this though. So from the Nebraska Examiner, it says Omaha area motels, salons, human trafficking tied to multi-year probe and 5 arrests. I mean, once again, this is 10 kids, they claim. So this sounds like, I mean, obviously awful, but sounds like a pretty small ring if I had to guess. I mean, I have a hard time construing a child trafficking ring of 10 kids is a large child trafficking ring. At least in the sphere of understanding of something as a federal bureau of investigation, like on the federal level. Like, yeah, I live sort of near Tampa. Like, if I found out that in Tampa there was, this would be like, holy shit, Tampa news. This would be like, oh my, holy crap. I mean, like that's leading local news, I think, is my opinion. So, like, don't get me wrong, awful. I can't say that enough. But it is 10 kids. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm jumping ahead of it. Maybe there's more in the story that I will see where I'm like, oh my god. But yeah. So, it was a multi-year investigation centered on multiple motels, brow and lash salons. Alleged human trafficking in and around Nebraska's largest city has led to charges against 5 people in the hotel business. And then it could come to that too. And then also the idea that this is like, it almost seems, I don't want to say like it's not worth it wouldn't be the right word. Because there's like, obviously like 10 children being taken out of his life. There's like, that's such if you were to quantify that, that's humongous. But then if we're talking about, the FBI making a big deal about something to kind of laud their own efforts, and then you go into this was a multi-year investigation, like, so we're talking about probably millions and millions and millions of dollars. And now what I'm not saying here is that those kids weren't worth it. What I'm saying is that seems obscene to me that it would take this much for what looks like a kind of low-level ring, if I had to guess. But once again, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. It says the 5 who own, operate, once again, 5, and manage the Evolved hotels. Okay, well, now it's a little bit bigger. Now we're talking about a hotel operation. Maybe they had way more adults and not a ton of kids or something. Actually, no, it said 17 adults is what it said. 17 adults, 10 children, some under 12, which is like, holy shit. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's all awful, but holy fuck. So yeah, we're talking under 30, 10 of which are kids. I mean, I don't know. Doesn't sound that crazy big. Okay, anyways. So the 5 who own, they're accused of crimes range from alleged sex trafficking and sex and labor trafficking, fraudulent use of visas, money laundering, and concealing undocumented immigrants, law enforcement officials announced Tuesday. Also seized as part of the search warrants was $565,000 in cash and jewelry. Representative of U.S. Homeland Security said workers in the country without proper documentation also were detained, though he declined to disclose how many. Eugene Cowell, special agent in charge of the Omaha FBI, said child victims as young as 12 years old were involved in a case described as absolutely horrific. The statement said officers rescued 10 minors and 17 adults from the alleged labor trafficking conspiracy. Human trafficking is a form of modern-day slavery. This investigation revealed victims right here in the heartland forced into sexual activity, living and working in dangerous and filthy conditions, and extorted to work in grueling jobs with little to no pay. Cowell said investigators became aware of activity about 4 years ago, assisted by calls and concern from the public. He said the case involved sex for rent, drugs, and more. On one occasion, he said a source working in the federal government entered a hotel room where immigrants slept on the floor with cockroaches on them. Ugh. The Omaha police chief, Todd Schmaderer, said that more than 100 Omaha officers worked the case at various points, mostly since earlier this year when an alleged juvenile sex trafficking case was revealed as one of the hotels that was also part of Tuesday's crackdown. The property, the American near Interstate 80 and 13th Street, is adjacent to Omaha's Henry Dorley Zoo. Other motel properties, New Victorian Inn and Suites. I'm not going to read all the specific ones because that's not going to really mean anything for anyone unless you live out over there. 10 other businesses associated with the accused also were searched under a warrant, the officials said, including brow and lash salons. The 5 hoteliers accused of alleged crimes, according to the U.S. Attorney for Nebraska, Leslie Woods, Kentakumar Chaudhary, actually I think that's both their names. Okay, so that's what's going on here because it's Leslie Woods : Kentakumar Chaudhary. So I think they chose an American name. Of Elkhorn, and then Rashmi Ajit Samani, 42 of Elkhorn, and then Amit Pralabhai Chaudhary, 32 of Omaha, Amit Babubai Chaudhary, Jesus Christ, and Mahash Kumar Chaudhary. All right, so a bunch of Chaudharys and a Samani. According to U.S. Attorney's Office statement, sex trafficking was encouraged at the hotels, protected from law enforcement detection, and sex trafficking victims at the hotels were subjected not only to traditional perpetrators of a sex trafficking scheme, but also to hotel management and employees victimizing them as well. The statement said drug traffickers allegedly received protection from law enforcement in the same manner in which human traffickers were also shielded by the hotel owners and managers. Cowell said at least one of the accused is charged with conspiracy to defraud the government through a scheme designed to obtain a U visa, which are for victims that help law enforcement prosecute crimes. In that situation, he said a hotel owner is accused of staging a fictitious robbery at a salon in 2022, the goal allegedly being to secure a U visa for one of the other defendants by representing her as a victim. Okay, so it sounds like there's a way to get like a temporary visa if you're dealing with legal stuff, and that's what they're trying to do. So they're trying to contrive legal situations in order to be able to obtain visas. The government officials further alleged that one of the 5 people accused had engaged in conversations about the cost to bring someone from India to America. Okay, that's what I've been looking for a while. I didn't see the India thing. Obviously, with those names, I was waiting to read those names like, what are these names going to sound like? Well, they sound Indian, and they've confirmed to India. So that's the nexus from which they seem to be pulling from, is India. The statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office said a number of hotel employees crossed the Arizona border several years ago and reported to Customs and Border Patrol that they would be residing at one or more of that defendant's hotels, thereby indicating those arrangements were made prior to entering the country illegally. The government alleged also that unauthorized immigrants were transported between Nebraska and the state of Washington to fraudulently obtain Washington's driver's license for about $1,000 per document. The federal government is taking steps to prevent the sale or transfer of the hotels during the ongoing investigation. They said 11 agencies and about 300 law enforcement officers were involved in the FBI-led investigation. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm just jaded and I'm an asshole, but I mean, it doesn't seem like the flex you think it is to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. 11 agencies, 300 law enforcement officers. I believe they said it was multiple years, and it was an under 30 people sex trafficking operation, 10 of which were kids. So awful, but like, and then the context here being like, this is what the FBI is lauding. I mean, okay. I mean, I don't know. I'm glad these kids are safe in this, but it really feels like, for one, this could have been done a long time ago, at a far less expense and prevented so much victimization. But I don't know. Obviously, I don't know the ins and outs of this case. Seems fucking fishy to me. All right, let's roll through the chat, see what you guys got to say. Actually, all right, I had another thing here that I was going to look through, see if there's anything of worth. Nah, I just was looking in another tab and I saw the documents. Nah, they're not worthwhile going through the specific documents. It is weird. Someone did point out that they said, look right here, it says 5 people from Nebraska. I had to get to the end of the thing before they finally were like, they even did the one guy's, the American name, which was confusing. But no, I did find it weird that article buried it so deep in there that it was a bunch of Indians. So, yep. All right, let's roll with the chat, see what you guys got to say. There's definitely a bunch of things I didn't get to today. For example, the Crypto King torture ring. We'll probably get into that one tomorrow. That's a lot of people have asked for that. And I kind of wanted to tie some DII Israel into the PragerU stuff, so maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow. Yeah, all right, let's roll with the chat, see what you guys got to say, and then we will get on out of here. All right. Yeah, if it's like the Franklin scandal, they'll end up sending the kids to prison. Yeah, for real, right? I don't know what the hell did my hair looked all weird when I came back to it. This family has a history of doing this. Other family members have been arrested for doing the exact same shit. India low caste selling their children to upper caste people. That's pretty fucked up. I did not know this family. Yeah, Dr. If you find anything more on this, this would be a thread I'd love to tug on. I mean, love might be the wrong word here. That's a little bit demented, but you know what I mean. If you find any more further information on this, it's worth digging into. You're saying it sounds like you're aware of other examples, maybe in particular with a specific family. I would like to hear more about that. So definitely tag me in some stuff, bud. It says, keep in mind it's under Biden, so they more than likely could have nabbed them years ago. Yeah, fair point. I mean, I don't really know what difference it makes who the fuck's the running the FBI. It doesn't seem to make a difference. But yeah, Fire Pixies are looking for any win they can get. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of interested what you guys think about that. Let me know. Maybe I don't know if I have any former law enforcement or current law enforcement. I mean, am I being unreasonable here? Because when I'm hearing like you're like, oh, we took 5 child molesters off the street and we got 10 kids to stop being diddled, and you're like, okay, well, how long did it take you and how much did it cost? And you're like, okay, when do you think reasonably you could have stopped doing this? Because it's like, I mean, I guess it was like, well, you almost feel like, I guess, ungrateful in a way because you're like, well, it's done, but it is very much like I feel like this should have been stopped a long time ago. So. All right. Well, I guess let's get out of here, I guess. That's all I really got for you guys. I appreciate hanging out with you all. It's been a minute since I got to hang out with you guys. I missed you all. I've been tired dealing with kitty stuff. I will be back. I should be back tomorrow. I mean, I'm hesitant to promise ever coming. You never know when some life shit will pop up, but I think I should be tomorrow. Probably around the same time. So be here. I mean, make sure you got your bell hit so you get that notification, even though they still fuck up and don't give you notifications. But if you like what I'm doing over here, make sure to leave a like, share, subscribe, comment, leave a 5-star review on iTunes or Spotify. Follow me on Twitter at TowerGangJose. All these are steps you can take that cost you nothing and help grow this channel. But if you really want to, help me in the best way you really can, I mean, that's with money. Let's be real. That's king. Cash is king, baby. You can go over to patreon.com/nowayjose2020 if you want to do that. And you get some perks back there. I like to think I gave you back your value. At the lowest level, it's $2, and I think you get more than $2 of value. Let's run through the perks. You get access to the paywalled content. I usually do about 1 to 2 episodes of those a week, and usually that's about 4 episodes behind the paywall on any given time. So that's weeks of paywalled content at any given time. You also get access to the ad-free RSS feed. You also get access to the Telegram channel. And you also get access to the pre-show and priority for the call-ins on me and Austin's weekly live call-in show, Already Dead, which is on Tuesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Also want to give a big shout out to my sponsors. Those are my highest level on Patreon, and I give them a big shout out every episode. As a big thank you to them. I'm my previous co-host on Tower Gang at Learn to Toad, also at Abrogate D's, at ZOVRCK, at _Invisil, Tim Tuttle, at Jolly on Cleveland, Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine, Big Fan of Show, Torn May, at Wayne Taculus, and not Masad. With that, guys, we're going to go get out of here. I have an interesting little outro for you guys, a little less goofy, a little more intriguing, but it's on the longer end, so I figured I'd just play it as an outro. This is from my buddy Mutual Christ Gnosis. The G is silent, but I don't know. I always like to be a goofball and go Gnosis. But here is a post from him. He says, Deimos, the god of fear, is the brother of Phobos, god of panic, both sons of Mars. Says this is a recording of Hunter Biden chanting to himself as Deimos. In Greek myth, Phobos dies Deimos lives, so Hunter is literally describing his family's story. It says, I was the first ever to share this. No more on the story, I guess, before we actually play it so you can get it. This is he says, the laptop got leaked on 4chan during the end of the 2020 election, and it led me to an audio file of this chant. I posted it on 4chan at the time and multiple times since. It never takes off, which is strange. This is likely my best content ever. We're ruled by an ancient cult. He goes, another strange thing is how Hunter Biden left a rental car in Prescott, Arizona, with his dead brother's attorney general badge in the car, an empty bag of cocaine, Secret Service cards, never discussed. He later had sex with his dead brother's daughter. These are very evil people. And he shows an excerpt of that. But yeah, just to, I guess, spell that out for you guys again. Just to recap real quick, Deimos, God of Fear, in this weird little chant I'm about to play you. It's almost 4 minutes long. It's very weird. I've listened to it already. It's something. It does really make you be like, holy shit, we are ruled by a cult. And he refers to himself as the God of Fear. And then now, God of Fear has a brother, God of Panic. And in the original telling, the God of Panic dies. For those, and to spell it out, I forgot initially, so I'm spelling it out for you guys because it literally took like hours. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what he's talking about. Beau Biden. For those who forget, Beau Biden. This was Hunter, or this was the good brother, the all American, like I joined the military, and then he died, and it was like, holy shit, because that's part of his story. He died, and he's and so you could kind of almost make him a stand-in here for Phobos, the god of panic, and thus making Hunter here Deimos, the god of fear. Now, obviously, you have both of these guys being sons of Mars, Mars being the god of war. I'll say god of war probably doesn't fit so well for somebody like a Biden, but maybe more broadly speaking, maybe just the presidency, perhaps you could make it fit a little bit better. But either way, that's interesting, and let's watch this, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern, so enjoy this weird schizophrenic ramblings of those who lord above us in shadow.
I am Deimos. You think that you know me, but you do not. You think that you see me, but you cannot. You think that you hear me, but you will not. You think that you love me, but you do not. I am Deimos, and I will never die. I am Deimos. I am the ever-present. I am all that is combined in the things you fear most, and I hold them for you. And that is my love. My love contains the multitudes. My love is my purpose. Because I am Deimos. You think you understand my threats, but you do not. You think that I am silent and sullied and uncertain, but I am not. I am Deimos. You think you know me. I am Deimos. I know everyone. I am Deimos. And I am a cloud that hangs in the ether. It is so beautiful. It seems to contain the multitudes of all the love that is, because it understands all the hate that was. I am Deimos. I do for you what you cannot. I am Deimos, and I am tired. I am Deimos, and I am sad. I am Deimos, and I cannot. Be this Deimos. Without my brother.